Oh, baby, we're back. We're back with the nuke to start this one off. Holy shit, man. Hey, I didn't mean to send that one off. My apologies there. We're not dropping any nukes right now. We haven't had any shitcoins to shit on, but we already have someone who's very, very angry right here. I actually just saw this comment out of the side of my eye. Quite funny, but also quite compelling, or quite interesting, I'll say. Peter Mapp says, seriously, he is enjoying needing us all. I'm not sure what that means. I don't need you. You don't need me. We're all just human beings. We're all individuals. Bittersweet basically means enjoy it while it lasts, because eventually you'll lose all your money. What? Are you mad that I've been shitting on shitcoins and they've been going down? Is that me? Is that me doing that? He gets pleasure from it. So narcissistic. Why is narcissism like the most overused insult recently? And I swear, Elsa has this friend who calls everyone fucking narcissist, and she is the biggest narcissism. She's the biggest narcissist, and she always uses that as an insult for people. So that can just kind of just reminded me of that. But very, very interesting, man. I do apologize that I shit on some of your shitcoins. Do I get joy from shitcoins going down? It's just it's like 1 + 1 = 2. It's almost a guarantee. Do I get joy from it? I mean, it is what it is. Do I get joy from people losing money? Not really, which is kind of why I shit on shitcoins, hopefully dissuading people from getting into what I believe are, personally very bad investments. But hey, man, you do you. I hope the best for you, sincerely. And whatever's going on in your head, man, I hope that you figure that out. Sold some Bitcoins, says Mikey B. Not selling any Bitcoins. I mean, of course, if you're very, very long term, and if you are just looking at Bitcoin as one of those 10-year plus long holds, which I kind of do myself, hey, not selling is not the worst thing to be doing. Of course, we do have cycles, however, so if you do want to maximize your gains, then perhaps that is something, to be considerate of here. But I do believe that it is at least worth waiting until the end of this month before saying, hey, we have some really, really nasty signals going on. I'll bring up the one big one right here, right as we kind of get into the stream, before we get into the actual analysis. But the big thing that I'm really watching right now is just that monthly MACD, man. That monthly MACD, as long as you're above 97,500, it will cross the downside. downside. It is a mathematic inevitability, and that is coming in about 2 days. Yeah, about a little bit a little bit more than 2 days right now. But keep in mind, once today closes, once Friday closes, which is a half day in traditional markets, CME sets in its own monthly, and wherever that's going to be, that's probably where spot's going to be as well. And honestly, CME signal is probably more efficacious anyways, which is actually slightly higher than spot's pivot point right here, which is 97,676. So barring a pretty epic rally between now and the next 3 hours, 41 minutes and 47 seconds and counting, that does look very, 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 very likely to happen. Doesn't mean that Bitcoin can't extend the bounce. In fact, I do think that Bitcoin will bounce a little bit higher at some point. Maybe not in the short term, but perhaps at some point in December. But ultimately, that does set into motion, at least the bias for myself, that I have to be looking at that bounce is likely a lower high. And personally, I'm going to be going with the data. And the data is quite clear here that whenever we see a monthly MACD cross the downside, amongst other things, there's many other things that we could be bringing up, which probably I'll do a video on that maybe next week, just going over all of the major signals. Not really making a commentary about my own personal position on that, but just, laying them out for people to take in and take action as they will. But as it stands, all 4 prior monthly MACD crosses the downside that we've seen in history, which are the only 4 that have ever existed, have led to significant drawdowns for Bitcoin that have lasted, many months, and in some cases, up to about like 8-10 months. If we go back to 2014 here, from the actual MACD cross the downside to the next major low, that was 153 days. So nearly half of a year and 65% more downside from the cross. This one was pretty painless, I would say, not necessarily painless, but the downside happened pretty much exactly from that cross. You can see Bitcoin really breaking down from there. So I'd say that was more of a painless signal in that case. If we go to 2018, similar thing over here. The signal given was in July, and then from there to the next major low was again 153 days. So about half of a year. It's kind of actually interesting in this case to see that both of these dates actually line up. The percent drawdown also rather symmetrical as well, at about 59.5% from signal given to next major macro low. The Rona dump over here, I would argue that this is a bit of an outlier, just because it was a black swan is the way that I like to say. I think I need to get back on the coffee, man. I'm losing my words like crazy. But this one taking a lot less time to find its low. This one about 91 days, so 3 months. So nearly half the time of the prior ones, but coming down pretty significantly too in a short amount of time, almost 46%, but again, less than the prior 2 signals. And then of course, the most recent one was in 2022 right here. And from that signal given to the next major low, this one took the longest, which was 304 days. And this one did come down almost 60%, like the one in 2017, 2018 cycle too. So, if this does fire off, we are not just going to be having a MACD cross the downside of the monthly, but also some bearish divergence here on the MACD histogram. So the way that I look at this is that it makes me very, very skeptical for any sort of consistent major upside, meaning that do I expect the monthly to reverse back up to prior all-time highs? Based off of that, I'd say it's unlikely. It's unlikely if that does happen. Again, do I look at this as something I'm happy about? That's why the title is Bittersweet rally, amongst other things as well. I basically just think that this current rally that Bitcoin is witnessing, barring a pretty epic finish of today, which could happen, I guess, but I do think it's a little bit less likely, it does imply that any sort of rally that we get from this number, is not likely to be the rally that I think a lot of people want it to be. Again, that's just based off historical data. You can agree with it, you can disagree with it, that's fine, but the data is what the data is. And I'm just presenting the data as it is, and you can make your own estimations from that. That's exactly what this, stream is really meant to do. That's exactly what my channel is meant to do. I'm just sharing the same shit that I'm looking at myself, and whether we come to the same conclusions, that's up to you. You're your own fucking person, as am I. But I would be looking at this as, very relevant, especially with the first, negative MACD histogram right here too. This has just traditionally not been the best sign. So I do want to really acknowledge that, because really wherever today does close is very, 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 very likely going to be where things finish off on Sunday. So I just be aware of that, because waiting that 2 extra days probably not going to make a difference. I guess there's maybe like a really crazy scenario where maybe that could work, but ultimately I'm not so confident in that personally. But hey, again, feel free to make your own, conclusions from that. Draw your own conclusions. Do your own damn work. Anyways, plenty to discuss today because we haven't really been on so much with live streams. I'm very happy to see that we have no dropped frames. Holy shit, that's amazing. And we still got our Black Friday sale going on with the code BLACKED in all capitals and then 20. I see that some people in the chat's already talking about getting the LTI. That's awesome to see, man. In fact, I'll bring it up on my screen right now because the LTI, I do believe, is very what's the word I'm looking for? It's very consistent with kind of the way that I'm going in my own direction as I guess evolving into more of an investor. But as I go into more long-term sort of trading strategies, basically investing, I'm starting to include tools like this, which I want to give me a notification of high value areas for the long term. Now on this, you can program it exactly to your heart's content. There's many different settings that you can tool around with. I do give out the my own settings that I look for in this case, just more of an aggressive dip buyer, if you will. These are positions for myself that are meant to be held for 10 years realistically, but I'd say at least 5 years if you want this to work out to a reasonable degree. And then I also go over my macro settings as well, but this is going to be applied to any asset on TradingView. I even give out some traditional market settings too. And ultimately, I have been taking action off this. So while I am talking about likely not great bullishness, in the long term, I have bought some here because I've got that, I've got that signal. And if I go underwater with those positions, that's fine. That's okay. If I was trading this, however, if I was actually trading this right now, I would be using options, and I would show you exactly what I'd be doing with options. In fact, I've actually shown this a little bit before, but I want to get more into this because options are my first love. That's actually how I came into trading. This is what I first started learning. And what I'd be doing it is exactly what I showed last week. I'd be shorting the $80,000 put strike and long in the $70,000 put strike and basically having a short put spread. And if Bitcoin does rally from here, I'll do the same thing, but on the other side, I'll sell the call spread if Bitcoin gets up to 95, 96, 97,000 bucks. Will I sell it at that strike? No, I'll sell the $100,000 strike and then maybe buy like the 105 or the 110 strike. Something like this is what I'd be looking for. But ultimately, we're not quite there just yet. I don't necessarily want to sell them at this moment, but I do want to see what is the premium on the $100,000 strike as of right now. Is it even worth selling is the real question. Maybe let's go out to the 19th of December. I understand that a lot of this just sounds like fucking gobbledygook to people, but right now they're trading for about $1,500. So is that enough? No, because that's going to go up to maybe like 2,500 if Bitcoin rallies, even to like 96, 97. So I don't want to get too ahead of myself right there selling those just yet, but that's kind of what I keep my eye on. If these get like a 2,000 theoretical value at that point, yeah, definitely consider selling them and buying some further out the money ones just to pull in that spread. And basically then we just have, kind of like a box going on here, which is fine. In fact, that is one of my preferred ways to trade. Now, why is that looking so strange? Okay. Oh, because I've added another leg. That's why. All right, there we go. But yeah, as it stands right now, as long as Bitcoin's above 80,000 bucks, or sorry, not even 80,000 bucks, but 78,000 bucks, we're going to be making money on this strategy. As long as Bitcoin's above 80,000 bucks, we will make 29,300 regardless of where Bitcoin is. It just has to be above 80,000 bucks by the end of December. So it's going to be a long time waiting for that one, but I'll start to update on this so that you can see how I would be managing positions with options, because I do think that options are, honestly the best way to be doing these sort of things. Anyways, I'll get rid of this screen right here, which I've forgotten how to do. Yes, there's an X button. There is the X button. There we go. The LTI Mafia. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm really happy for people to be getting into that because, while I understand trading as a profession is just, some people definitely get it. Some people definitely don't. It's very, very difficult. I'm not going to tell you it can't be done. Obviously, it can be done. You probably know people that have done it. I've done it. I know many people that have done it as well. Many people in our community have done it. Many people across, the internet have done it. But it's a lot more difficult than just long-term investing. And I feel like long-term investing is something that just anyone can do. My face is so fucking itchy. I don't know why. Long-term investing is something that almost everyone can do to a pretty high degree and still be, generally profitable if you just don't fuck things around, if you just don't use leverage, and if you just pretty much just buy and hold. Yes, there are better times to be doing things, obviously. And what's up, Mr. Van Duysen? I'm screaming your name. Mr. Van Duysen's back in the house. Good to fucking see you, man. Looks like the new time zone brings with us some old friends. I love to see that, man. And hopefully we can bring everyone else into this new time zone, because it is a little bit later, but I feel like if it's maybe not like a holiday week, then perhaps this could be good. Now, it looks like my stream just shut out at the backside there, so hopefully it is still all good to go. Let me know if everything's all good in the comment section. I even got the verb in my head. I'm pretty good with the video title. Yeah, I'm in the Bittersweet Symphony. Exactly, man. Classic song. But even in the short term here, it does look like Bitcoin wants to back away. Let me get down to my short-term time frames. Yeah, looking at the 6-hour time frame right here, Bitcoin has waked up into that green 55 EMA. This is kind of the last couple stutter steps that we did see on the prior lower highs before Bitcoin really plunged down to its current low for this move. So this is kind of a natural pullback region. How far does Bitcoin pull back? That's a good question that I really don't have a good answer to, but I can tell you how far I'd like it to pull back to, because there is a more relevant for the short term bittersweet thing that I want to bring up, which is the 2-week 5 versus 21 EMA setup right here. And again, as we have seen this one fire off, and every time in Bitcoin's history we've seen this fire off, which hasn't been often, to be fair. In fact, very similar around where those monthly MACD crosses happen to the downside, although not exactly the same, and completely different metrics right here too. This does imply we're going to at least see one more test to that green 55 EMA. And as of right now, Bitcoin's rallying, so I have to assume that whatever rally we get from this region is likely to fail. And I would say that just generally, I do believe that this rally, even if it does extend from here, which I have my own skepticism that it will in the short term, but at some point in December, if it does extend from here, that red 5 EMA is a really, 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 really good boundary to be looking for as sort of an upside ceiling for the short term until that green 55 EMA target is hit. That is why I look at this as a bittersweet rally, because wherever it goes, it's kind of destined to fail until we fulfill that condition at minimum. And that's not even, a guarantee that that's going to be a low when it comes back down around here. It's just, look, there's no real hopium, in my opinion, of a rally that runs away to the upside to new all-time highs, bringing us all fucking riches, making even the most miserable and disastrous people happy, which is probably impossible even with Bitcoin at $120,000, to be honest. Because shit, we've already seen that, man, and still a lot of miserable people on the internet. But until that condition is fulfilled, I have to look at any rally that we get from this region as likely to fail. Whether it fails, where it's at right now at 93, whether it goes to 97, whether it even goes to like 100,000. These are all still lower highs on any time frame that really does matter for a trend. What's up, Caretaker? I see you over there. Miss El Satoshi, Gustav, Saldir. Where are you now, sir? In a secretive location. We're no longer giving out our locations because we've had one kind of weird scare. So I figure it's best to not be super specific about this anymore. It's different when we lived in Dubai, because everything's like super safe and there's fucking cameras everywhere. I got cameras all up in my house. I got fucking guns all up in my house. I even got medieval swords all up in my house. But still need to be safe, man. Anyways, I'm gonna take a sip of this water. I've got a new water filter coming today. I'm very excited about that. Get some nice fresh tasting water, because I don't think the prior owners of this house did a good job with that, man. Anyways, yeah. Just to remind you, though, the code for the Black Friday sale, which will run until the end of next week, actually, because we got Cyber Sex Monday coming up as well, is blacked in all capitals, and then number 20. So blacked in all capitals, and then 2 and 0, baby. Anyways, as far as price action statistics go, Friday is a little bit more favor in positive closures over negative closures. Don't necessarily have a personal proclivity as to what today will close like, but the boundaries seeming to work as, once again, beautiful scalping regions to the upside. The average gain for a Friday is about 2% for a winning Friday. You can see that's exactly where Bitcoin's wicked up to in the early morning hours and now falling back from. So just another great example, although this one obviously having a lot, some pretty big returns from that pivot, to be honest with you. I don't necessarily look at that as like the most like thing to always be happening, but you have another great example of the price action statistics, the historical price action statistics indicator perfectly getting that as a pivot point. This is just a beautiful piece of edge, as is the price action pivots indicator. Both of these operate in a very, very similar way. The historical price action statistics indicator obviously comes with Caretaker's indicator suite, so it comes with a whole lot of other things as well, but you can see it once again giving that beautiful intraday scalp. And hey, if you do see Bitcoin head to the bottom side of the average returns for a losing Friday, that would be a price pivot at 89,700. So if you do see that, I would be looking for a bounce on the first pass. I've been speaking with a few people in the Discord, especially, and I've even been doing this myself, and I think even Caretaker is probably doing a little bit of this as well. But these scalps have just been fucking money, honestly, man. So again, it's only the first pass. The first pass, super high probability. Second pass, very much lower probability. And personally, I would strongly suggest if you're using this as an edge for those daily intraday scalps, don't get very, very greedy with these moves. As you can see, Bitcoin has had, almost a $2,000 move from this current pivot right now. I would not look at that as normal. I would not look at that as, something that always happens. No, I would say anywhere between $300 to $500 is like super, super, super likely. Anything more than that is just icing on the cake. However you want to trade that is up to you, however. Anyways, moving on from there, we already went over this, the Bittersweet signal over here alongside that MACD signal as well. And then, of course, going from there, the HPDR over here, I do look at this as a rejection of the 61.8 level. Now, we don't necessarily have a setup to target any particular region as of right now. So, unfortunately, the trade that was begun over here, which was when Bitcoin was at around 86,000 bucks, that is already done. That is already done. It goes by the wayside. That was closed at around 91 and a half, whatever yesterday's closure was for Thursday. So ultimately, if you're playing that, it's time to be going back to the drawing board because that trade is over and done with. It was a beautiful trade, but there is no longer, at least in the way that I look at things, a setup right here as of right now. Have to wait for volatility to expand once again. And then if it starts to contract while Bitcoin's far away from at least the 50% of historic returns levels, then yes, you will have another one of those mean reversion setups, but not right now. That's already played out, and it's time to just wait for the next one. And as it stands right now, on the daily, this is a lower high by the sheer definition of it. In my opinion, it would be better if you're bullish to want Bitcoin to come all the way back down to maybe mid or low $80,000 territory from here, like in early December, based off of these statistics that we went over in yesterday's video for December and when to expect the December low, and also to play out this setup over here. If that can get satisfied, then hey, we can start to talk about maybe there is a potential for a rally here to bring Bitcoin back upwards and onwards. I don't necessarily know, or well, obviously it won't negate the MACD signal on the monthly over here. So it's still a big thing in the backside, but at least that setup will be fulfilled. And so, we can take at least one thing off the box, but I do think that the MACD one does deserve, or I'm personally going to be heeding that signal myself, just because it has been so good historically. So again, that's just, that is just personal take. But at least there'd be something, something a little bit more favorable to the bulls if that move down to the low 80s happened, fulfilling this test of the green 55, which actually as of right now is about 83,500. So again, I do expect that level will get hit sometime in December, hopefully early December. Again, based off of the December statistics, we generally see the early portion of the month within the first week for a low of the month, even if it's a bearish month, that goes out to about 2 weeks, which is relatively early compared to most months. But as of right now, it does look to me like Bitcoin wants to reject 93. So hopefully this downside moves happen early on. And I do think that the stats agree with that as well. Anyways, go check out traditional markets really quickly. Then we'll get into some good old shitcoin analysis, because I know everyone loves that, especially that, very angry guy at the beginning. But looking at it over here, NASDAQ futures and SPY futures backing off a little bit, but still kind of more or less around the highs. I do look at NASDAQ as already broken out of this falling channel and generally very likely to head back up towards this price action pivot high here at 25,850. But in the very, very short term, can it pull back? Sure. Just don't want to see it pull back really anywhere below 25,000 bucks. Until then, any sort of pullback in the short term, I think is kind of irrelevant, and general sideways and up back to this targeted region right here is very, very likely. I'm sure people are going to be calling this a herp and a derp. And I mean, technically it is. You got your neckline right here. You got a left herp over here, and this would be the right derp over here. So if Bitcoin does start to fail and come back down about 25,000 bucks, I will be sounding not Bitcoin, but NASDAQ. I will be sounding the alarm bell, because that is a technical setup, and for whatever reason, these setups, head and shoulders, seem to play out a lot more on traditional markets than they do on Bitcoin. Although you see it happen on Bitcoin every once in a while too. But in traditional markets, those setups actually do play out quite often. But until then, I'd be following this breakout right here. until proven otherwise. And same thing on SPY futures as well, which is just poking its head above that upside sort of trend line extension. So for this one, I'd be looking back around 6,900, probably even just retest that prior all-time high. But technically speaking, this would be your neckline. So below 65.50, then yeah, catastrophic fall all the way back down to like 63-ish, somewhere around there, which is sort of this basing region that we saw from August of this year on that whole crawl to the upside. But as of right now, I personally, I will be favoring the upside, but hey, if it does start to turn back down for this one below about 6,700, okay, I'll turn around and say, hey, I was wrong, and I'll be bearish on this guy. But until then, let the momentum take you away, I guess, because this actually does look like a pretty decent correction. And from the high to the low, this has been a 6% move, which is not a catastrophic move by any stretch of the imagination, but a decent correction within an overall uptrend. So I look at that as again, okay, maybe a little bit of rose-colored glasses right there, but still, I do think that one is generally okay. Anyways, I'm going to get over to the super chats right now. Let's see what we got going on. I see Freddie M is first. Holy shit, what's happened to Steven? Where is Steven? Is Steven here? I see Steven actually. Okay, great. All right, he's still alive. Beautiful. Anyways, you're looking at BitF. Okay, BitF. This is Bitfarms. This is some sort of a Bitcoin miner. Bitcoin miner sounds pedophiliac. Yeah, looking at this right here, I actually really do like this bounce off of the 230-ish number. When did this happen? Did this start? Okay, yeah, this started a few days ago, actually, at the start of this week. Okay, so nice. Nice right there. I mean, granted, the fact that it is kind of rounding off that number, can we look at this as a pivot? Price action pivots indicator is suggesting that this is a good pivot. Major moving averages are now in a bullish posturing. So I would be marking this area off and saying this is more or less the middle of your range. Let's call it 2.25 or so. I think the LARP line here is going to be wrong until that happens. Although, well, no, it is still very likely going to be sideways, to be honest with you. So, if it does rally here, I don't think that this next rally is going to bring it, back above the $6 pivot, because ultimately this is still just one massive range, right? Or, I guess the range is more or less right here right now. But if you do break below about that 2.25 number, then yeah, I would be looking for a full return all the way back down to the bottom side of the range. We're talking like, low $1. But until then, I guess give it the benefit of the doubt. I mean, back above the swing high from February of 2024, it's generally going to be good, but I just personally don't think it's going to have the momentum to actually push through here to the upside. So yeah, basically a long way of saying, as long as you're above 2.25, I guess treat it okay, treat it as something that can rally back to $6. Although I would feel a lot better stating that, even if you're not like, full on fucking gung ho bullish, going to break out type shit, still it could come up quite easily to about $4 to $5 region. But, getting to $6 again, I think that's a little bit more of an ask right there. And I do think that this thing is more likely to trade sideways after this current rally plays out. So, if it does something like this, I'd kind of be still looking at something like that, to be honest with you, Mount. So, yeah, that's kind of how I'd be looking at this as of right now. Anyways, back to $6 in December. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that, man. That wouldn't be my first target. I'll put it that way. It wouldn't be my first target, but I do think that you have a bit of a rally here. I do think that you have a bit of a rally. And, whether it's $4.50 or $5, I think that's a little bit more realistic. $6, maybe not. Wouldn't be my first target, like I said. Anyway, CLSK, you're asking, can it hit $20 in December? Okay, these are always great questions. Can it hit the moon in December? I think this one's probably a lot more reasonable as a target. $20, just eyeballing it right now. Where $20 put us back around these highs right here. I mean, this is a higher low as it stands, and it's rallying off of that white 200 moving average. So I'd say this one does have a chance. I don't know about the time frame of this, but we've been looking at this chart for a while now, and I think that we've gotten it quite well. It's been a general range. It rejected the top side of the range, so we were looking for it to come back down to the bottom side of the range. It already has, and it's basing off there. It's having a pretty good response from there as well. So while I do think it's going to spend a lot of time doing this, I don't know about December being $20, but I actually do think at some point, probably in Q1 of next year, it actually will try that number. I don't know about December though. But yeah, something like this, and then yeah, it probably does work its way back up towards $20. I don't know if necessarily it needs to go this sideways for this long, but basically sideways and then an upside try is kind of what I'm stating right here, especially bouncing off that white 200 simple on the weekly. That's a good sign, man. That's generally a good sign. But I don't think it's going to be like a fucking moon mission from exactly here. I think you're going to spend some time still, being more or less kind of boring, trendless, sideways bullshit. Anyways, we got Alyssa Kate next. She says, if we assume Bitcoin is topped for the cycle and entered a bear market, do you think it is likely to rebound to the 200-day moving average as it has in previous cycles? I believe, I'm pretty sure you asked this last stream. Maybe you missed the answer, but okay, so there's a big assumption here. The big assumption from Alyssa is that Bitcoin is topped for this cycle and entered a bear market. Okay, if that is the assumption, I would say yes, I do think so. I do think that Bitcoin would at some point in the bear market cycle that follows hit at least the 200 simple moving average. It's hit there at every prior cycle. And what we'd actually expect is that from cycle to cycle, as time goes on, it will go even lower than that. In fact, because you saw in the past cycle, it lived below the 200 simple, which is the white moving average right here, for many months, and it dipped, by a good margin below, actually. Now, you might call this a black swan. Maybe it is, but 30% deviation from the 200 simple. I would say personally that any sort of a buy underneath the 200 simple is very likely a really good long-term value buy. But for example, in all prior cycles, kind of just grazed it, maybe spent like a couple weeks below it right here, another week below it over here. But generally, that is a pretty good value area. And I'd say at least down around there, maybe a little bit lower as well. As of right now, that's coming in around $56,000. And that's kind of where I have my own eye, and like a kind of a marker in the back of my own brain as to where I'd be looking for if Bitcoin did top out here as a value area. But personally, my long-term investment decisions will be based off of my macro settings on the LTI, which is included in the LTI. It's not this setup right here. In fact, I'll show you exactly what it looks like. It's not going to be firing off right now, obviously, because, this isn't a macro low, or at least if it is a macro low, it's going to fucking really surprise me. Bear market over. It's been 5 weeks. Amazing. But, looking at it here, these would be my macro settings. And yeah, we're not going to be getting that signal anytime soon. So being below the 200 simple is actually not a component of that long-term macro setup right there. But, getting around there is kind of like a good sort of guide, I would say, in that until you're somewhere around there, close to it at least, I wouldn't be, really pounding the buy button for long-term spot holdings that are meant to be held for a long time. That's where the big value area is going to be, in my opinion. Anyways, I am going to be... All right. Oh, you're asking, is it likely to rebound to the 200-day moving average? Oh, okay. I completely misunderstood this. I thought you meant the 200 simple for the weekly. So that was my own fault. So you're looking at 109 over here. At some point, it very likely does retest that. At some point, it very likely does retest that, but that might happen a long time away from it. So for example, when we go back to 2022 over here, not only did it break it a few times, to be fair, but in the final break, from the actual break to the next time it was tested, was 90 days. So almost 3 months, or about 3 months. And at that point, the 200 simple actually barely moved, to be fair. It's kind of at the same price point. So maybe it's going to do the same thing here as well. But yeah, at some point I would be looking for, a reconnect with that. It's just timing that I do believe is really, really difficult. We got the same thing over here in 2018 as well. Obviously Bitcoin broke the 200 simple here, tested it twice. The next test was about 2 months away. The final test was about 140 days away. At that point, it was much lower. So it's like, I can tell you, yes, I do think that test will happen at some point. It's just, it really depends the timing of that, because it could come down significantly from, where you hope it will actually test it from. So, my point is that, hey, if you're looking at this current price action as, guaranteed for the test, you might be a little bit disappointed if it doesn't happen, and Bitcoin spends its time filling out this area over here and then does it later, because it'll be much lower. So I just say, yes, that's very likely to happen, but using it as an edge for a trade is going to be difficult because of the timing aspect of this one. And there's not really a great way of kind of, getting that entry, at least in my opinion, until we have at least some other technical signal that will corroborate that story. And then, yeah, that could be like a general area of interest. I imagine at earliest, it's probably going to align with the price action pivot here at about 107,500, which I believe is the most important price action pivot for Bitcoin right now, because as long as you're below there, it is a downtrend. That is a very important lower high. And when that, aligns with that number, maybe Bitcoin gets a rally to there. So I guess it wouldn't be that, further down, but it would be 107,500. So maybe that would be a way of looking at it. But again, I'm going off of very, very little here. I personally wouldn't be trading it that way because there's just not enough evidence as of right now. Anyways, I'll move on to the next one. We got Steven Schickman. What? I know. I just did that. Yeah. Anyways. All right, cool. Okay. Is he wearing mascara? Sir, I'm right here. You can just ask me. Yeah, I've actually gotten this a lot of times in my life. People have always asked me if I'm wearing mascara. Yeah, I am. I'm a homosexual and I wear lots of fucking makeup. Yeah, I don't, but you're not the first person to ask that, which is kind of strange. So I don't know. Maybe I should start wearing mascara. Will it make me look more beautiful or not? That's the real question. Now we have the man. Mr. Steven Schickman, looking for Doggy Coin as always. Got down to our 15-cent target, even overshot it a little bit there too, getting down to that white 200 symbol. So that was kind of a major targeted area of interest region for us. I don't think it's going to be breaking this level anytime soon. Honestly, I do think you're more likely to base off of this number at just below 14 cents, maybe a few more times, something like this, and then try a rally similar to what the LARP lines have over here. I just think you might spend a little more time on the lows, but I still look at this as a general range here. It's an ugly range for sure, but it is still a range, and getting bearish into the white 200 simple on a weekly time frame, in my experience, is not wise until you actually break it. I know that that's going to be, hindsight analysis, but it's just, it can bounce so many fucking times from that major moving average before breaking. And I personally don't like front running it because I've only had pain in the past from doing such things. So what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say it's probably going to be pretty fucking boring. It's probably going to retest that low a few more times, maybe even give a wick a little bit lower, but I don't think you're going to be breaking lower anytime soon. I do think that you're probably going to get a few more bounces from that region. And at some point, probably going to bounce towards, 17, 18 cents. That would be my that would be my analysis for now. Maybe we go to the monthly and I change my mind, but yeah, when I go to the monthly, I still see it basing off of some major moving averages here. I'm not going to get bearish into this region. I do think it has a real opportunity to bounce off of that region yet again. So yeah, all right. What else we got? And then Doggy BTC. Okay, I can look at the Bitcoin pairing. In fact, Bitcoin pairings actually might be, at least according to Bitcoin Dominance, maybe doing a little bit better in the short term. But is this one? I mean, it's still an absolute dog piece of shit. But it is not you, Mr. Steven, but this as a chart is an absolute dog piece of shit. Should get nuked, should get birded, should get derped as well. It's a fucking derp chart. That's what it really is, man. Look at that. Anyways. God, I forgot how much fun live streams are. Anyways, Doggy Bitcoin. Let's go to the real chart. Here's a regular scale. I mean, look, man, this wants to go down long term. It has a bearish cross, a downside silver cross on the monthly time frame. It's lower highs ever since 2021. At some, this rally from September is probably gonna be a high for a very long time, man. But in the short term, is it going to try a rally from here? I mean, maybe it gets up to like 185 to 190 Satoshis. I don't know. I don't have strong opinions on that. My strong opinion is on long-term downside, man. The longer you hold this, the more value you will lose to Bitcoin. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be going up or down. It's just going to lose more value versus Bitcoin. So yeah, man, I really don't like this behavior long-term. I look at whatever rally this was over here as a complete fluke, to be honest with you, man. Just some crypto bullshit from 2020. But yeah, man, whether it comes down from here, whether it tries a few more bounces, I don't know. And honestly, I don't think it's that important. I just think it's generally going to be to the downside, man. I think that September high you saw from this year is probably going to be a high for a very, 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 very long time. And whatever this high from November 2024, I would be surprised if this thing ever reclaims that high ever again. It has a possible opportunity to reclaim this high, but I don't think it's going to reclaim this high. That looks like that just looks like a down only sort of slope to me. But yeah, man, moving on from there, we got base 4267. He's looking at Coinbase. Full disclosure, I do own this one myself, Coinbase. We can go over it too, though. Where is it? I did sell some of it as well, I should say. But looking at Coinbase right here, is it going to bounce off of this last local low from June of this year? Yeah, I do think so. Overall, though, and yes, we actually have had this area marked off for a while. Overall, though, it is starting to lose a little bit of its luster. So I don't like that. What time frame are you on? You're on a weekly and a monthly. Let's go to a monthly. Okay, if it can rally back above like 290 before end of day, that'll look great to me. I have my, I'm not so confident it's going to happen, but it would look great if that did happen. I'm looking for something that's obvious here. I'm not quite getting it just yet. I do think it's kind of destined for some lower block behavior. Something like this, man, probably comes down hopefully in early December, gets out of the way and then rallies. But I'd be very cautious on another rally to $300 because that's where you would be expecting a round on a lower high if it is going to fail again. So yeah, it's kind of similar to Bitcoin in the short term. You are getting a rejection. Again, this would be a rejection of the 200 simple on the daily and the 21 EMA on the daily. So I do think, it's probably going to come back down around these lows. I don't think it's going to break these lows actually on the next pass, but hopefully the bounce from there is back to $300. That's where I'd be a little more cautious because if it is going to be, a real reversal, that's very likely where it would come through. So just be aware of that, man, because I think it gets a little more complicated from here. Where would I get very bullish on this thing? Back above 320. So until then, I'd look at a rally with a little bit of cautious skepticism. But if you get a rejection, especially below $300, that's not going to look too great, man. But for right now, give it a chance. It should have a chance in December. I don't think it's going to break down just yet, even if it is bearish. So there should be one more rally attempt. The real question is, does that rally get back above 320? If it does, fucking great, man, because I would like to continue to hold this personally. Anyways, let's go look at Ethereum for Stephen Schickman. He's back yet again, and Ethereum over here. We did say coming into I think it was October or late October. If Ethereum did violate that $3,500 low, then be expecting a 2 handle on this thing. And it did. And it did get a 2 handle. And now it's actually bouncing up quite well. Which kind of makes it, in my opinion, it kind of makes it a little more difficult just because you've hit the correction target so fast. Where do you go from here? Well, I guess maybe there's an actual try to the 200 simple, but it is getting respected as it stands right now from, a little bit higher than there. So I don't necessarily, I'm not super dogmatic that it exactly has to come back down there, but I do think just like Bitcoin, you're probably putting in a lower high right here, and you're probably going to revisit around that low. Is it going to make a new low? Actually, I don't think so. I do like these spikes on these lows, and so one more spike over here would look really, 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 really good for that 3 spike low that I've spoken about in the past. And from there should be a real rally attempt. But just like I think it was Alyssa who brought up earlier, there's probably going to be a rally. It's probably going to get to your 200 simple, which is going to be in alignment with this price action pivot here. So, if it rallies up to like 3,600, got to be on the defensive there. Does it happen in December? Does that happen in January? Does it happen in February? I don't fucking know. But, I'd be looking somewhere within the next 2 to 3 months, let's say, for a move like this to occur. And if it gets rejected below this, $3,700 number, I would look at that as really, really bad. Now, that also does imply if it actually exceeds this number and starts to really close, dailies and above there, I would be bullish. And, it'd be hard to say that Bitcoin cycle is over at that point too. So, have to put all the puzzle pieces together, I suppose, but that's how I'd be looking at it. But at least for right now, I do think in the short term, you're going to retest that low early December, bounce from that low in early December as well. And then the real question is, how high does that bounce get? And we'll go from there, man. Other than that, what's up, Godblood? How you doing, man? I see you over there in Luffy Muradova. You've missed my turbo. Did I miss the turbo? Yeah, actually, I missed a bunch of things. Holy shit. Thanks for reminding me. I completely fucked up on that. I missed Pisa and Lufty. Sorry about that. We'll get to it right now. Let's look at Turbo. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's really, really good. We'll see what Turbo fucking coin is doing. Oh, it's going down. Amazing. It's back down at its 2025 lows. Incredible. During a bull market, back down to your lows. That must be bullish as fuck. Anyways, look, do I think that this thing can rally a little bit from here? Yeah, maybe back up to like 0.3 of a cent, somewhere around here. But this is a down only chart in a market that has been pretty much up only for this year. And this thing has been putting in lower highs the whole way through. That's a terrible, terrible, terrible signal in my opinion. Where's my shit over there? I want to get rid of that. It's just clogging up my viewing. But yeah, I do think it probably rallies a little bit more from here. It'd be a lot more technical if it rallied up to the green 55 on the weekly, which is somewhere between about 3.5 to 0.4 of a cent, somewhere in that pocket there. But that's also exactly what I'd be expecting on a lower high. This is a down only chart. I'm just going to shoot you straight. Like is this a bittersweet rally? Or is this just a fucking, or just a pity rally before more downside? At some point, this thing will come back down to the 2023 lows. That I feel very confident on. But in the short term, yeah, I should try a rally. And I think it even extends the rally in December. But long term, there's just nothing bullish about this chart at all whatsoever, especially as long as you're below. Fuck, which pivot do you even want to take on this one? It's got to be this high here, which is 0.7 of a cent. So yeah, pretty big shoes to fill there. Not great. All right, Pizza, I very much apologize, man. I missed you. You were absolutely number one. It is XRP, of course, always XRP, which I actually do have on my list just for you, sir. Here it is, 220. This one also hit our corrective target down to 180. So it's kind of like the limbo zone right now. It's like I don't have super strong opinions on this thing after hitting like a major target like that. In the short term, do I think it's more likely to come back down to this low and then bounce? That's what I've been saying for most of these shit coins. So you kind of have to be consistent with that. But this one, if any of them, is actually holding in there a little bit better than some of the other ones. So I would say until it actually closes the daily below 215, I can't technically look for that move, but below 215, yeah, I would be looking for it to retest somewhere around this low and then very likely bounce from the low. I don't think it's going to make new lows on the next try to the downside. I do think at some point you're also going to bounce from that low to about 245, 250-ish region, and then that's where the real game begins. Does it reject there or not? If it rejects, okay, then you got a real problem. If it doesn't, then, well, it's going to be quite nice, I suppose. But for right now, give it a chance in early December, maybe to retest around this low and then bounce, and then we'll come back to it after that. Where did I get obviously bullish on this one? Price action pivot indicator is showing 258. I would actually move that up to this one right here. I just look at this one as a little bit more relevant because that's what really started to break the 200 simple, which is a smidgen higher at about 270. So if you can reclaim that high, I would actually get very, very bullish on XRP. But until then, I think it's a little bit of short-term downside plus a bounce. Let's see how high the bounce gets, and I don't know, could change around in my opinion if it reclaims that number. All right, cool. Okay, again, apologies for missing those. We got base 4267 next. He's looking at PG stock, monthly, weekly. Fuck yeah, we got some actual stonk action analysis going on here. Again, for anyone who's joining on right now, because our streaming times are a little bit different now, which I do apologize about, but hey, it's just what it's going to be, baby, just what it's going to be. We do still have our Black Friday sale going on for 20% off of any one of the programs or services in the link description below for Teachable, with the code blacked in all capitals and the number 2 zeros. In fact, I will go to PG now, and you are looking at a weekly and a monthly. So higher term time from start high, finish low. Let's actually go to a quarterly for this. Okay, interesting one. Long term, great history, great chart, beautiful, amazing. It's so lovely. It's so hot right now, incredible. In the short term, it is in a weekly downtrend, which is not great, and living below the 200 simple on the weekly as well, and that is not fucking good. So what do I think is going to happen here? Well, I do think at best it's going to base on this 140 pivot a few more times, something like this. If I'm drawing out the LARP lines, something like this. I do have this circle, this area circled off right here. I'm wondering where I got that from. Where did I get that from? It's a big circle. It's not very helpful actually. So maybe we get rid of it. I wonder why did I mark this off? What caused me to mark that off? That's what I want to know. I need to start making notes on charts that are actually notes, not just fucking LARP lines. Look, I'm not going to fucking feed you bullshit, man. It is a downtrend. It is looking pretty ugly right here. I do think it is possible for it to come down a little bit lower and base, maybe closer to 135 to 140. I would also give it a beautiful chance to bounce from that area as well, just because this thing has such a long-term history of just going up and to the right. There's got to be some obvious here, man. There's got to be some obvious. Yearly time frame is kind of ugly. Do have some bearish divergence there. In fact, 1, 2, 3 draws coming off these highs. Okay, so that does help. Okay, that actually does help. Generally, corrective target from that's going to be a lot lower. That's going to be a lot closer to your October 2022 lows. Do I really think it's going to get back down there? I would say 135. Give it a chance at 135. Until then, it is a downtrend, and you're in a downtrend as long as you're below about 157, 158 or so. So I just wouldn't get super aggressive with this thing as of right now. But I can, if I'm going to be wrong, it's going to be from here. That's kind of the rough part about this one. I'm really struggling with this chart, to be honest with you, man. I'm really struggling with it because I want to give it a chance from where it's at right now. It did get down to 144. I mean, is that just close enough to 140? I don't know. I think a healthy amount of I don't know is the proper answer on this thing. I'm inclined to say it will at some point come a little bit further down, but not that much further down, and then base and then rally. That's what I'm inclined to really say here. That's kind of what my intuition says. But if I'm just going off of charts, I'm really not getting much from this. Like the easy moves are kind of already happening, I think. Yeah. That bearish divergence on the monthly, the quarterly, and even the yearly, I mean, if those play out, it's going to be coming down a lot more. You know, it's going to be coming down to like 130 or 125. Am I really going to call a move like that on something that looks like this? I mean, that is a technical target. That is a technical target. That's a decision for you to make, man. I'm glad that I don't need to fucking make it though. I'll put it that way, man. I'll put it that way. But yeah, there is bearish divergence here, and technically I should be looking a little bit lower towards 125 to 130. So there is that, man. All right, there we go. What's up, 773 area? LFG boys made the stream. Fuck yeah, man. We got blacked Astro Travala MF. It's actually blacked in all capitals, and then 20. All right, what else we got? We got Doggy versus Bitcoin. Wait, no, we already did that one. Coin. Okay, I actually missed those as well. We got Davaldiauka. He's looking at Tesla daily, weekly, monthly. Okay, cool. Again, full disclosure, I do hold this one as well. Haven't looked at it in like a few days though. I've been so busy setting up, man. That's the worst thing about setting up a new place is that you just feel like you're not making any progress, you know, with things that actually make money. You know, I'm just sitting on my fucking house, you know, like I want to get back to like studying charts and shit like that. I want to get back to creating content. That's fun, man. I've been having a lot of fun making these weekend videos too. And I have another topic in mind and I'm so excited to do it, but I just need to finish a few more things before I can actually like really dig into it. But I'm really excited for it because I think it's just a topic that needs, you know, at least I'm interested in it. I think probably many other people are going to find it interesting too. If you've been following kind of the ethos of this channel recently. Anyways, as far as Tesla goes, I do look at this as a higher low. This is good. This is really fucking good. As long as you're above 390, I'm bullish. Correction over, beautiful retest of the yellow 21 EMA, reversing back above last week's high. You could call this an early reversal. And that's fine. And target should be back around prior highs, 475. Probably just, you know, goes to new all-time highs from there. Looking at the monthly, you know, people are going to call this bearish divergence here. Technically, it could be, but you need to close below last month's low, which is 411, and that closure is coming in 1 hour and 1 minute. So, you know, do I think that that's going to happen? Probably not. So I don't think there's going to be a local high. Thus, there is no bearish divergence to confirm. Thus, follow the trend, baby. Follow the yellow brick trend because I'd be bullish. As long as you're above last week's low, I am bullish. There's no reason to be bearish on this thing. Below last week's low, okay, yeah, there's going to be a big correction down to like 350. You know, maybe even more over time. But for right now, got to go with the trend here. Got to go with the trend. What's up, Tyler? How you doing, man? It's been a long time. I recognize that avatar, just don't recognize the name. Love from Colorado. Hell yeah, sir. Love the new stream time. Fuck yeah, sir. It's a time of the year again. Thailand bot versus the US dollar. Okay, yeah, we can do that. THB USD. Okay. Good. Thailand bot should be beating US dollar for a little while. Even on the monthly, this thing looks like it wants to break out, but chart's kind of fucked up here. So let's go to log. Maybe that makes things a little bit better. Now what time frame? You're on a weekly and a monthly. Look, the monthly is based off the 200 simple, so that's good. And then the weekly is just an uptrend. So I'd be looking for this thing to retest that whatever this high is from September, probably make new highs as well, maybe even follow this trend line extension for just a general area of interest, you know, upon whenever it starts to approach that number. It is a long-term downtrend, however, though. So, you know, should we be looking for like serious continuation above this high over here? Personally, no, I would not be looking for that. It's still a downtrend, but it can rally more and still maintain that downtrend. You know, let's say it gets all the way up to spot 0.322 and then reverses. That's still a big move from where it's at right now, but it would still be the long-term macro downtrend. So that's kind of my point that I'm making right now. So it's like, yeah, short-term rally very likely continues. I think you actually will get to like spot 0.32, somewhere around there. And then, if it's going to fail, it's going to fail probably from that area. So yeah, man, hopefully that was helpful, and hopefully all is well, sir. Goofy Dude says, dude, best to you and Elsa this holiday season, and also to you, sir. Would you please look at Ethereum weekly and monthly? We kind of already did that, but maybe we can go back to it, see if I can catch some that I haven't caught already. Let's go to our momentum chart, actually. Where's my chart? No, like for real though, where did I put it? Did I not bring up my stochastic momentum chart? All right, well, I guess not. So better late than never. Where is my Ethereum? Where's my Mr. Buterolls? 3,000. Let's go to a monthly here. Okay, monthly momentum is kind of in a precarious place, but it actually will very likely finish this month to the upside. And we do have a tightening range here, to be fair. So it will continue with upside momentum as long as Ethereum is above 2850 by the end of Sunday. So Sunday's closure is coming in a little over 2 days. Maybe long term it's doing something like this. Two regressions, one from the top side, one from the bottom side. I guess it's a lot closer to the top side. So if it is going to reject, I guess that would be next month. But hey, at least for right now, at least there's some hopium going on there. And it did hit a long-term downside technical target based off of the break of, October's low, or the early October low that was. So I'd give it a chance to rally from here. It might dip down to the white 200 simple first and then rally, but I do think that this is a bottoming zone, at least for the short/medium term. Elsa, I think my dad might be here soon, so you might need to let him in. Hold on. Let me see my phone. He's probably said something. Okay, phone, do you mind working? Hold on. Yeah, he'll let me know, okay? Or maybe he just... Yeah, he said he'll be there around about 10, so he'll ring the doorbell. It'll be fine. All right, cool. Let's see what else we got, ma'am. Chris Vela says, MicroStrategy Daily Weekly thoughts on possible delisting. I don't know anything about delisting. That's not something that I really focus on myself, but I can look at the chart. We've been bearish on the chart for a long time. But I believe it did hit the 180 long-term target. So let's see where I can find this one. I do not actually own this one, and I personally don't want to own this one. I guess I don't have it on my list, but I just don't understand it, what Saylor's doing. Yeah, so it's right around that 180 number still. It might have one more drop down to like 145, 150, but this should be very close to the bottoming zone for this thing. Now, when I say bottoming zone, I don't mean it's going to like immediately go back to all-time highs once it gets to there. No, it's just probably levels out somewhere between its current low and about 140, spend some time going sideways, and then puts in a pretty decent rally, I would imagine, to like 280 or maybe even $300. But, this is a downtrend right here. I guess the good thing is weekly momentum is going to switch back onto the upside very soon, assuming it can remain above 180, which it's actually not right now. So there's that. Monthly time frame did hit the green 55. This really should be a bouncing region, but it is breaking the price action pivot here. So, something new is emerging. I do think it's going to bounce. I just wouldn't be looking at that bounce as like straight back to all-time highs. No, it's going to bounce, maybe get back up to like 220, 230. It doesn't really do anything for it long term. That's the unfortunate thing about the MicroStrategy chart right now. But yeah, I would be expecting a technical bounce probably maybe starting December, maybe early next year. Should get back up into like the mid or low 200s, something like that. Because I do think most of your downside, the majority of your downside is already done. If it has one more swipe to like 140, fine. It's not like a tremendous extension of this move, to be fair, but I'd be looking at this zone right here. Again, this sort of circled zone right here as a bottoming zone that it very likely will rally from. It'll try a rally, but you got lower highs as long as you're below 370. And if you are going to rally, you got to have a real keen eye on about the $290 to $300 number, because that's pretty much exactly where you'd be expecting on a lower high. So yeah, man, I guess we'll see. Anyways, I see some people talking about MicroStrategy as well. He has to make the company look more like Bitcoin Bank if he doesn't want it delisted. MicroStrategy 1.2x leverage, lower than all traditional banks. I think people are struggling to understand Saylor isn't easily liquidated, and the common would get hurt before he ever sells Bitcoin. So safer to buy the credit they sell. STRC is brilliant and underappreciated IMO. Maybe. I actually do own some of those offerings. I don't own MicroStrategy though. I don't really want to own MicroStrategy. I understand understand that the way that he has organized the loans that they've taken on, they're like, okay, my water bottle's like one massive giant BBC dildo in front of the fucking camera. But I do understand that the way he structured his loans, they're not really in danger of really getting liquidated or anything like that, or in any sort of reasonable time frame or price right now. But personally, I just don't understand the whole MicroStrategy offering at this point. So I just don't invest in shit that I don't understand. So yeah, doesn't mean that you can't make money on it. Doesn't mean that it might, not be good long term. It's just I don't fuck with those sort of things. Anyways, let's go back to the chats here. We got Mr. Davald again. He's looking at RIVN. Man, ever since you brought up this ticker, I have been seeing these cars everywhere. Saw them everywhere in Florida for sure. I do think that you got some upside here. This thing is looking like a real reversal. Some of their cars even look cool, man. Like they actually genuinely look cool. I do think that this rally will extend probably towards 19 to 20 bucks. Might even break out. I mean, this actually does look like a real potential reversal. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 higher lows on the weekly. And momentum's turning up. I actually do think there's a real potential that this thing could pull through with a mega, reversal, but at least in the short term, probably test back up towards the range highs. So I'd be looking at 19 to 20 bucks. Yeah, nothing bearish about this as long as you're above basically the November low, which was 12.5 bucks. Below the November lows, okay, yeah, I'd get bearish on it. Okay, send it back down, downtrend resumes. But for now, there is a potential here, and I would be respectful of that. So yeah, anyways. Need to figure out how to organize my desk better because I feel like everything's just discombobulated right now. We got William Kiefer next. He's looking at Devi token. Oh, a token. Great. I'm sure the tokens are doing amazing. Let's see what the Devi token's doing right now. Oh, what do you know? A down only fucking chart. Amazing. Fucking amazing. Yes, indeed. Another down only fucking derp chart. Not you, sir. Not you. But this chart is a fucking derp chart, sir. And it should be absolutely eliminated. Eliminated from existence because it is going down only and more down and more down and more fucking down for the eternity of time, most likely. Yeah, man. I think whatever high you saw here in early November is probably going to be a high for a very long time, maybe even for forever. This thing is more likely to come back down to your September of 2024 low than it is to pop back above this high. Very ugly, very bad, very, very bad, very fucking bad, man. Yeah. Downtrends are downtrends are downtrends. The trend is your friend, unless if you're bullish, and then you're fucked. William Kiefer's back. He's looking at Hood Daily Weekly. Okay, we actually got some real stonk analysis here. Now it's okay. Let's go. Let's start high. Take those gummies, baby, and get high as fuck. Looking for something that's obvious. Quarterly still okay. Let me go over here. Hood. We're in the hood. Yeah, yearly still fine. Quarterly still okay. I think that you may very well have a pullback in early 2026 to come back down around like 90 bucks or so. Because in the short term, it is a little bit toppy, to be honest. I don't know. Then again, I go to the weekly. It's actually not that bad. Okay, do I have any signals here? No. Maybe I take that back. You know what? I take that back. There's more obvious signals here. Weekly has hit in bullish divergence. So short term, I do think it will try a little bit more of the upside, like let's say 135 to 140. If it really starts to exceed that number, if it really starts to close above, let's give a real hard price here. Real hard price, 140. If you close a weekly above 140, I think the general upside trend continues. That hidden bullish divergence should play out. The last few lows were put in on hidden bullish divergence over here as well, and over here, and even over here too. So I'm gonna respect that signal, and I'm gonna say bullish as long as you're basically above last week's low. Below last week's low, I do think you're in for a pretty nasty correction down to like 85 or 90 bucks. But until that happens, I'm gonna go with that signal just because it's been so consistent throughout the last 3, 4, 5 years now. So not bad. All right, cool. What else we got? We got John Duty's looking at Circle. Okay, Circle has bottomed out or down with the trend. I don't know if it has bottomed out. Then I'm certainly interested. This is something that I have on my own watch list. Oh wow, I'm glad that you pointed this out. This is the first time that maybe this thing has a low in. It's retested its IPO low. God, if it loses that low, it's going to be going so much lower. And I'm not going to lie to you, man. The monthly looks fucking atrocious. Like it really does. It's really ugly. It's like really fucking ugly. Short term should rally a bit, back up to $90. I don't know if you're in for a short term trade. I think it even rallies more than that to like 98, 99. But is this the exact low right here? It should be a low. It's a swing low. It very likely is going to rally decently from this number, 10, 20%, something like that. But is it a macro low? I think if we're going to call this a macro low, it's going to spend a lot more time down around here. So I don't think there's any real rush into position. I would only say that it's bottomed out for the short term. That seems very obvious to me, and it will very likely rally pretty decently from here. So it's good for a trade. Is it bottomed out for forever? I wouldn't say that based off of the monthly looking like this just yet. I want to see like another couple months first before I start to lean into something like that. It's possible, but there's just not enough evidence as of right now, only for a short-term low. Zona Prod, he is looking at Tau on the weekly, no mascara. Be sure to put on all of my lipstick as well. Tau, okay, it's obviously the Bit Tensor shitcoin, amazing. Yes, we're back onto these again. We did get bearish on this thing when it broke down and closed below $400. This was back in early November, and I still feel compelled by those same views, man. That was a pretty significant rejection that you saw over here. At the same time, I don't think it's going to be down only exactly from this point. I do think there is going to be some sideways price action. Yeah, but I do think it will break at some point. It's probably going to bounce a few more times from this and then break. And at some point, yeah, these lows here I think are very likely to get retested, if not even more. The only way to get bullish on it at this point is probably not that helpful, to be honest, but it is technically correct, and it would have to pop back above the rejection right here, which was 495 on a weekly closing base. If you can see that, okay, yeah, bullish as fuck. But until then, man, I'm going to go with what most shitcoins do, which is just going down. And when we look at the monthly, I think that much becomes, quite clear as well. Here's the real chart, by the way. Closing below that red 5 EMA probably puts that 5 EMA as like a bit of a ceiling for this, for whatever rally emerges from this next bounce to like 370 or 360, whatever it is. And then down from there in like early 2026. Overall, man, don't like it. Definitely don't like it. That rejection a few weeks ago was very significant in my opinion. Very significant. Anyways, moving on, we got MG76. He's looking at CLSK literally every time frame, literally the 1 minute all the way up to the infinity time frame. I think we've already kind of looked at this one, man, and we kind of already went through it earlier. So I'm probably I'll probably just go over the daily in this case. I do think that this current rally extends a little bit more. At the same time, I don't think it's going to be, continuing. I don't think it's going to like reclaim your October high, nor do I think it's going to fall below your April lows. I think you're caught sideways for a while, and it will give another try to the upside later, maybe late in December, maybe early next year, but not right now. For right now, I think you're in for some more boring sideways, and then after like a month or so has passed, and it probably tries a real upside move. Something like that, man. Something like that. All right, cool. What else we got? Let me see what my phone's doing over here. What is going on? Okay. All right. What is this? Wow, I'm getting like messages. I swear, like every fucking app I possibly have ever downloaded ever is sending me, hey, did you know it's Black Friday? By the way, guys, did you know it's Black Friday? You can get 20% off of any of the pros services. I'm kidding, man. But yeah. Anyways, Adrian Rene says, happy Thanksgiving, sir. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well, sir. XMR, do you think it can break out to a new all-time high? The answer is it's always possible, but is it probable? And actually, this is among the better crypto shitcoin charts that we've seen today. I don't necessarily know if Monero is an actual shitcoin. From what I understand, it's probably one of the better privacy coins, like an actual privacy coin. Do I think it can break out to all-time highs? Yeah, if any chart's going to do it, this chart's going to be among the best contenders for something like that. Quarterly, all higher term timeframes generally look pretty good to me, especially the yearly. I don't think it's going to be December, but maybe early 2026, it could try that move. So, that would be a bit of hopium, especially for Bitcoin too, right? If Monero is going to be bullish, then you kind of have to expect Bitcoin to be bullish as well. I don't know, is Zcash still doing his thing? Let's see what Zcash is doing. Okay, Zcash is looking a lot different. Yeah. Zcash losing itself. So maybe less so. Like I said, Zcash likely to have a reconnect with about $300 or somewhere around $300 in December. And I still feel quite compelled by that. So yeah, man. As far as Monero goes, though, I do think Monero has a real shot here, though. I actually do think it has a shot, but not in the short term. It's very constructive here. This is really, really good, in my opinion. And if you want like a very easy pivot point for this current rally, it's last week's low. As long as above last week's low, up and to the right is the name of the game. It is a trend in motion, but below last week's low, it's going to be a very long consolidation coming back down to, 220. Something like that, man. But yeah, actually, legitimately one of the best crypto charts we've seen today. Maybe the best one, actually. Felicia says 6-month time frame for BitEye stock. I don't even think there's 6 months worth of history on this thing, or maybe there's like 2 bars. But I'll check it. I mean, I just can't promise you there ain't nothing there. Let's see. Oh no, there is. Okay, when did this start? 2022. All right, I'm thinking of something else. Okay, so this is inverse Bitcoin, right? This is inverse Bitcoin. I know you asked about the 6-month time frame. I'm not really getting much from this chart. It's just straight down, so that's not very helpful. But when I go to the weekly, because this is an inverse chart, here I guess this would be another like really good thing for Bitcoin is that the inverse. I'm guessing this is the inverse. Yeah, it's a short Bitcoin ETF. Okay, it's a short Bitcoin ETF. This $25 high right here is exactly where you'd be expecting a lower high within the context of this trend. It's right on the 55. It's a lower high compared to this one. It's got hidden bearish divergence possible as well. Yeah. If there's going to be another lower high, that's a great place for it. So that would actually be bullish for Bitcoin. So that would be the other side of, Bitcoin cycle over. It'd be like, oh shit, well, that's perfect correction right there. And if this is the inverse then, or the short Bitcoin ETF, then you got to be expecting downside from here, which would be upside on Bitcoin spot. So yeah, I'm glad that you actually brought this up. I'm gonna write this down in my notes because I have not been watching this, but this could actually be quite useful in the future. Let's see. Let me just add it to the list of shit over here. Yeah, Bitty, the old Bitty. Anyways, we got McDonald's house next. He says, would like your opinion on Bitcoin on the hourly. Yeah, sure, man. Let me just take a sip of this water as well. Much better. All right. Hourly time frame. I do think that this is a high right here, and I do think that you are in a short-term range, which is likely to break to the downside. It's probably going to bounce off of this 90,500 to 90,650 number a few times, If I'm drawing out the hourly right here, let's actually do like a zone, right? Something like this, man. Spikes this, boom, rally back up to like 91.5, 91.7, and then hopefully it comes back down from there. Again, personally, because I want to see this setup play out first, because if it doesn't play out first, then long-term have to be expecting whatever rally we get to fail. So that's kind of my point on that. But yeah, I'd give it a few more shots to bounce off this region. If you see Bitcoin break below 90,450 on an hourly, then I would be looking for this move to the downside to occur from there. Maybe not on like one fucking hourly dildo, but generally back down to like 86, 87,000 bucks, something like that. Anyways. All right. We got John T. He's looking at Zora. Okay, Zora. It's a new one for me. Is this a shitcoin or yeah, it's of course fucking shitcoin. Anyways, maybe let's get off the hourly, perhaps. No time frames given, so I'm just gonna make it up as we go. Anyways, it does look like the traditional sort of shitcoin chart of destiny. Gets its one major pump, comes back down, gets another major pump, but a lower high ultimately, and then kind of down only from there. I'm looking at this as another lower high right here. I'm looking at this thing as likely to come back down to 5 cents. When does that happen? I don't know, within the next week or two. Bearish as fuck as long as you're below whatever the spike high was from November, which is about 7.5 cents. Personally, I don't think it's going to reclaim that anytime soon, but that would be my price point to reverse my own opinion on this thing. Until then, I think you're kind of coming back down to these lows over here, 5 cents or so. Maybe another bounce from that number as well. But yeah, overall not the worst shitcoin chart, to be fair. It's not like literally down only, but it does look pretty ugly. Sir, I think my dad's downstairs now. Yeah. Just heard the gate open loud as fuck, so hopefully he closes that too. Anyways, we got Chris Vela next. He's looking at Bitcoin dominance, weekly, monthly. Sure, I can look at it. I just don't think it really matters that much, but Bitcoin dominance going up a little bit. Not really doing much at all. It's basically been in the same points since October. Yeah, I still think, you know, if you're focused on this chart, you're missing the moves. What do I think about this chart? I think generally it's going to come down. Do I think that that's going to be good for altcoins? That's usually an interpretation, but have we seen altcoins really go up? Not really. It's kind of my point, man. I think it's just like whatever shitcoin you have in mind, I would be watching that chart because we have seen some shitcoins pop off. But yeah, if you're asking my opinion on this chart, I do think that this is going to come down. I do think that it's going to come down, but do I feel strongly about that? I mean, actually, I do feel strong about that. I just don't think it's going to imply that every fucking shitcoin and their mother runs new all-time highs. Was your dad an trader too? You mean a market maker? Yeah, he was a market maker. Way back in the day. Yeah, all right. I'm through all the super chats right now. Let's go through some of the regular chats here. Zora is only down systemic. I mean, it looks like the beginning of a down only chart. Does definitely look like that. Dare you to copy trade Jules? Okay, I dare you. We are putting in bearish engulfing in 30 minutes, 1 hour, and working on 4 hours as well. Sure. I mean, these are relatively low term timeframes, so I'm just not super concerned with them personally, but well, that's actually not a bearish engulfing, but I understand what you mean. It is a reversal, and I do agree with you. It is short term, likely going to act as a rejection and as a local high, and you know, Bitcoin works its way down from here. Personally, I really want to see Bitcoin do this sort of a move. Blah 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 blah. Okay, maybe not that low, but somewhere around here, and then try the real rally, because that would be the point in which I think you actually have a shot. But till then, man, like I said, rallies are kind of bittersweet. You know, seems like it's doomed. Clan Com says, hey, Crown, can you check out Cardano? I can. Actually, I'm actually like kind of interested to see it just because I haven't seen it. It's so fucking long, man. Cardano, well, 4 hour time frame, local high and down. Probably don't care about that though. Going to the daily time frame, this thing actually is, oh wow, it actually is breaking below the range low. Okay. I guess my LARP lines are, I had 2 LARP lines here. One was a bounce. Maybe that was too generous. The other one's straight down. I guess that is, about what I expect. Yeah, I think that this one's actually going to make a new low on this run, maybe down to like 34 cents or so. Yeah, genuinely worse than a lot of the other top shitcoins that we typically look at. You know, I think you're generally going to come back down to these lows in the low 30-cent region and probably try a bounce from there. Long term, though, I actually don't think it's a down only chart yet, or at least I wouldn't say that just yet. Because long term, what are you looking at? You're looking at one massive range. You rejected the range high. You're coming back down to the range low. I think you're going to base around the range low again, but you're probably going to need another major bounce there too. This is a monthly time frame. You should have your dad come on and talk about lessons he learned in his career. I will do that at some point. Once we get set up, man, I would love to do something like that. Yeah, he fucking hates BMNR. He hates Tom Lee. It's gonna be a trip to fucking listen to him talk, man. Yeah, he's well, he's a little bit crazy in his own right, but yeah, man, he fucking despises Tom Lee. I don't know why. Well, actually, I do know why, but but it just seems a little bit like too much, you know. Anyways, Giuseppe says, "Hey, Crown, hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well as well, sir. What are your thoughts on XRP for the long term? Weekly and monthly chart, please. I'm holding a decent bag." We went over this one earlier, man. Like long term, I think you put in a high for a while. I don't think there's really anything excited to get excited about here for a long time. But I don't think it's actually, I think XRP is genuinely proven itself long term, and it will be around long term. So it'll be like one of the few handful of shitcoins that actually does survive long term. Do I think it's going to be up only from here? No, I think it's going to be a long consolidation, be very, very boring for a while. And then, I don't know, maybe if we fast forward a year or so, this thing does probably have another real rally to the upside. But yeah, that's just for the very, very long term. The Swaggin story says, why don't you use a Joule anymore? Is it not a good indicator to use? No, it's fine, man. It's just, it's sold through the meta signals, now. And because I generally call out the meta signal setups, it's like I'm kind of already calling out the Joule setups to begin with. Yes, they're putting their own proprietary sort of, lens on it, but I would, I'd look at that as kind of like too convoluted. And personally, I'm using so many indicators already that I kind of want to lessen the amount that I'm using rather than include more. So I feel like the Joule is better incorporated with medicinals because that's one, where it's sold, and two, the backbone, the engine of their algorithmic system. So I feel like whenever I call it those items, I'm inherently acknowledging the Joule as well. But yeah, it's still fine. Still overall good. Just because I don't use them doesn't mean it ain't good. There's just too many damn things that are valuable to use that, if I used all of them, it'd be like a fucking 2-day long stream, which I don't have the stamina for, sir. I really don't. My voice only lasts for so long, man. Then I turn into raspy lesbian crown. Anyways, I appreciate the big super chat, Mr. Dan, but feel free to have a message as well, man. You can just post it in the bottom of the comment section and I'll read it straight up. But yeah, I imagine that probably wanted to be accompanied by an actual message. I was a financial advisor and I quit to full-time trade my own account. Would love to hear his take. Yeah, man, that's really interesting that you say that, because one of the things that he always taught me growing up, and one of the things that I've learned myself, is that financial advisors who actually are worth their are worth something, they just fucking do it on their own. Because why wouldn't you? That's the same issue that I have when people ask me like, hey man, are you ever going to start like a fund and trade people's money? I'm like, why would I do that? First off, it's a lot of anxiety to trade other people's money. Like, I don't mind losing my own money, but losing someone else's money, I'm not gonna be able to fucking sleep at night. Like, so I don't want to do that. And then two, you're trading more money, but because it's other people's money, you're not getting all of that money. So you're taking on this extra burden, or at least for me, it'd be an extra burden, like, anxiety wise. And then you're not even getting rewarded as much as I would have if I just traded my own funds, because my own accounts are big enough to where it's like, I don't even need to use all my fucking equity to begin with. So for me, yeah, I don't see the allure. I only see it as an allure if like you're a fucking, if you don't really know what you're doing and you're just trading other people's money, you're like, fuck it, this is other people's money, I don't fucking care. But yeah, like, do you really need a financial advisor to tell you, hey, have you tried the 60-40 portfolio? 60% stocks and 40% bonds is very safe. It's also a terrible portfolio, but that's what they learn in the textbooks, and that's what they teach, because that's how you get that kind of a job. You get good at reading a textbook. You don't actually have to get good at reading a fucking chart. So yeah, man. I don't know why, but Crown's haircut looks way better than when he was in Finland or Dubai. Cool. It's just growing out a little bit. That's all. Fair enough. I appreciate the feedback, sir. Asti is asking about YLFI. Is this Trump's shitcoin or like his son's shitcoin? I don't know. I'm inclined to say it's more likely to put in a local high here and come back down. But I'm not getting any technical signals that it actually has just yet. I'm just very wary of these things. Maybe there's a different chart that has more history or something to go off of, because I'm not getting a ton here, but I'm a lot more inclined to say that this looks to me like a local high in the making. All right, do we have... Nope, still no text. All right, well, fair enough. I wonder what they're doing. All right, well, whatever. All right, happy Thanksgiving to you as well, Mr. Boris. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well, sir. Is financial advisor role more of a sales job, you'd say, rather than advisory? You should ask the guy here, Space Nectar, who was a financial advisor. I've never worked with one myself, but that's kind of the vibe that I got. But let him tell you, man. He says that's what I hated about it, because I'm a technical guy. Oh, there you go. He's saying it right there. Yeah. Yeah, man. So. Good evening, Hexakin, says Tabin. Yeah, let's go look at fucking Hex. How about that? I'm sure it's doing great right now. I was told a million fucking times in 2022 that I'm going to be sad and poor because I'm not going all in on Hex. Well, it looks like I'm still going to be sad and poor, but at least I didn't go into Hex. Dare I say more? Looks great, man. All right, we'll look at Chainlink. Sure, man. It made a higher macro low for what it's worth. All right, well... I guess the real question is, did it? But let's see. Chainlink has been actually one of the better shitcoins in the past. Is this a higher macro low? Well, it just hasn't gone lower yet. But it's resting on the white 200 simple. I do think you're going to bounce here. Should bounce up to like 15, 16 bucks. I think is a good bet. Any more than that is icing on the cake. I'd want to come back to it after that and see, because I'm not really getting much else from this chart. Like I don't want to get super bearish on this chart, and I certainly don't want to get super bullish. You know, you played out the bearish targets, so I think it is time for a pity bounce in the very short term. However, this is a local high. This is a rejection similar to Bitcoin, and I do think it will come down close to that prior low, similar to Bitcoin as well. But I also think you got to bounce from there too, and I think that bounce is what brings you to 15 or 16 bucks at least. Come back to it after that. It's not a bad balance. I mean, shit, man, you know, from 12 to 16, that's still like pretty, like 30, 40%. It's not bad, man. SPX 6900, sure, we can look at that. I'm sure it is going to definitely overtake the actual S&P, but okay, what did I do wrong? Yes, okay, there we go. 6,900. Yeah, last I looked at this one, it was breaking down, and I think it's more down, in fact. For the full retrace, yes, tell him what he's won on the full retrace. You've won a fucking derp. I mean, look, you're at your prior major lows, so it is kind of a bouncy zone here, and you already kind of have had a bounce, but you know, maybe it retests these lows again or close them at 50 cents and then tries a real bounce, something like that. But don't confuse bounce with like, oh, reversing back to all-time highs. No, I don't think so, man. I think that this thing is going to be doing what pretty much virtually every other shitcoin meme coin does, which is go down and have pity bounces in between, but generally just go down. There we go. No spamming with many G's for Elsa. That's how I read whenever someone puts like a bunch of fucking Y's after hey, like, hey, like, no, just hey. It's all good. Yeah, we did circle, man. We did circle maybe like 5 to 10 minutes ago. I do think it's a bounce, but I wouldn't call it a macro low just yet, man. Let's see, almost 500 people watching, not even 200 likes. Holy shit. We're fucked. Everyone hates me. This is the worst. Yes, I did CRCL. Yes, I've already done that. How does Morpho look? Well, based off its name, I'm going to guess it is a shitcoin. And based on this shitcoin, I'm going to guess it's probably very bad. But let's see. Every once in a while, if you actually spell these things right and you look at them, sometimes, every once in a while, they look okay, but this is not one of them. This is a down-only chart, sir. Down, 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 and down some more only. Do you like losing money? Then buy this. Do you like losing money even more? Buy even more. Do you like losing money, as much money as you can? Fucking buy as much as you can, put it on leverage, and then take out some loans and buy some fucking more. Great idea. Look, at some point, you're going to get a bounce. There's pity bounces for sure. You know, maybe it pops up to like 170 or 180, but again, down only, a lot more likely to pop back down to 90 cents than it is to go back above 290. I'll put it that way, mom. Oh, there comes the burgers. My morning burgers. We already looked at Tau. Bad. Sorry, was taking a dump. All good, man. All good. What else we got here? Any new requests? Any new shits? Yeah, we did that. Stonk, LAD. Yeah, let's look at some actual real stonks. Some real stonks, LAD. Okay. Lithium motors. All right. New one for me. Actually do think that this rally carries it a little bit further up. Yeah, not bad long term. Not bad long term at all. I actually do think that this rally is not done yet. I think that you're going to probably trade back up to like 330, maybe even 340. Not bad. All good, JG Savage. All good, man. But surely the dog is up only. It is up only if you literally turn around your monitor so that it's upside down. Crown, you buying private Bitcoin, Zcash, Gib crash. What? What? No, I'm not, man. Maybe Monero, if anything, but not Zcash. Yeah, I don't know where all the Zcash hype came from, but I am very skeptical of it because it seems like a lot of it is marketing bullshit. But yeah, can we expect 98 to 99 bounce soon? No, I think we just saw the high of the bounce for right now, and next move is down, but I don't think it's going to make a new low, and then I think you get a real bounce, and that bounce might actually do that. The one that comes after swiping around the lows, I think that's one that's possible. Yeah, we already went over Morpho. Looks pretty bad, man. Looks pretty bad. I'm convinced it's a psyop. I don't know about a psyop. I just know that I'm very skeptical about anything that I get DMs from marketers about. So of course, you probably know this, but one of the nice things about doing YouTube is that all of these fucking shitcoin shill projects send you messages to, hey, can we pay you X amount to fucking shill my shitcoin? And then you know exactly what not to buy, which is basically every shitcoin. But you know, there have been messages like that for Zcash as well. So So for me, that is an immediate signal to avoid like the fucking plague, man. Monero has always been presented to me by the people who actually understand the fundamentals and technology of crypto as like the true privacy coin. So if I was going to get any of them, they would probably be Monero, but that's not my expertise. You know, I just think it has a better chart overall. Anyways, can you take a look at CoreWeave or AMD? How about just CoreWeave? CoreWeave. Things are quite slow right now, so maybe CoreWeave pretty bad, pretty fucking bad, man. This is going to be a shitcoin chart of destiny as well. Very bad. This one's so bad that I might as well just look at AMD because Jesus Christ, man, terrible. AMD, a lot better long term. Short term should be a local low, should try a rally back up to like, I don't know, 230, 240-ish region, somewhere around there. Shifty Pump says cars, cryptos, and conspiracies, bad actors behind Zcash, stick with XMR. Yeah, I mean, XMR was always one of the more legitimate ones, at least in the way that I was presented it. What's up, Philson? It's almost 2 a.m. Where do you don't need to tell me exactly where you live, but like the country or the time zone, man? I'm actually curious. Is that like Japanese time zone? For some reason, I have in my head that you live in Japan. I don't know why, though. I fucked up in the bull run and I lost money, but the positive part is just you have a great haircut. Now, good investment, and I still want to meet you in Elsa with my girlfriend. But I will. We look forward to the day, sir. Maybe in future bull markets, just focus on Bitcoin. Don't focus on all the other shiny shit coins. What about Toyota? What about Toyota? Like as like a chart? I don't know. Where do they trade? Probably Japan markets. No, they trade on NYSE. Let's see. As you would expect, it's straight up. Great company. Great company. Yeah. I think you just had another macro low at about 170 and it's ready for some upside. Well, hold on. This is a range, however, so it's not necessarily broken out just yet. I do think it will break out given enough time, but has it had enough time? That's a real question. It's possible here. Volatility is very, very low, so could be the real breakup. I need to see it close above 209. ICP, I can go over ICP, man. I almost can assure you I don't have anything nice to say about it, but sure. Yeah, wow. Your spike high for November, probably gonna be a high for a very long time, if not for forever. I think I had this area marked off exactly for this reason. I rest my case, sir. I rest my case. I think it's down only from here, sir. What water filter did you get? I need a new one. I don't know. I have to look at it on Amazon. I haven't even opened it up yet, but let's see. I can tell you, sir. I can tell you. Just need enough time to scroll through my plethora of Amazon purchases in the past couple weeks. God, man, I'm like, I'm abusing Amazon. This was express water reverse osmosis system, multi-stage filtration, BPA free. That's what it is. I guess it's just called express water reverse osmosis water filtration system on Amazon. There you go. Bitcoin is 70 to 75,000 bucks. Probabilities versus the low 80s. I think low 80s is very, very likely. I think 70s is. If it's going to happen, I think it would happen a lot later. I think you're going to get another bounce off of like mid to low 80s. I don't think it's going to be like a straight shot through down to 70, or at least if that happened, that would be a really bad signal in my opinion. Yeah. Let's see. How deep into the stream are we? About 1 hour and 40 minutes. MTSU have a chance to revive back. It's always a great question. It's like, my shitcoin is fucked. Oh, wait, it's Mitsubishi. This is good. I mean, it doesn't really trade that much, so there's kind of an issue there, you know. It hasn't really, I don't even know if there's been a single trade in like the past few days, but no, it's not bad. If that's actually what you're talking about. Maybe you're talking about like some random shitcoin. Of course. Are you going to timestamp this video? I do, but I need to wait for the video to process first before I can actually get the timestamp. So yeah, is it possible to get to go to 94.95 first before dropping to 82.84? Possible, yes, but I don't think it's very likely right now because I'm looking at today's price action as a rejection. So I think the high is in for this rally. Next move is down. Probably gets to like mid or low 80s, and then you get a rally, and maybe that's going to be 85, you know, or sorry, 95 to like 97. Yeah, EBS on traditional markets 4 hour, okay, lower term time frames, but that's fine. I mean, a 4 hour in traditional markets is almost a daily. Like there's only 6.5 hours in the day to trade. Short term, probably a bit of a local high, and probably swings back down, but overall it's bullish, man. this is good. Well, when I zoom out a little bit more, it's not so bullish, but short term probably pops back down a little bit. I don't know, maybe close to like 10 and a half, and then tries another rally. Yeah. I mean, this thing is kind of due for a pity bounce just because you're at your literal, multi-decade lows. So I do think at some point you're going to get a reconnect around the 55 EMA, which is 18 to $19, but that can take a long time. It's probably going to be a rejection as well. Like, it's pretty bad. MSTU. Okay. MSTU. What is this? Is this some random shitcoin? Of course it is. Wait, or is it? Are you looking at this or are you looking at this? Probably this. Usually people are asking about shitcoins. Yeah. Topped for forever, most likely. I mean, it's the Burj Khalifa pattern, but you haven't completed the right side just yet. Are we going to retest the local high in Bitcoin before dropping to mid 80s? Well, let me get out my crystal ball and tell you exactly what's going to happen to 100% certainty. It has to go back exactly to this morning's high. It might not. I don't know. But I do think that this is a worthy rejection as of right now. And I would say that revisiting that high before going lower is going to be a fantasy if Bitcoin closes anywhere below about $89,000 or 89,500 today. Something like that. You want to look at Solana? We can look at Solana. I still have it on my list, even though I don't think anyone really cares about it anymore. Lower high right here. Again, short term probably swings back down, tests around 130 to 125. I don't think it's going to be making significantly new lows, and if it does, that white 200 simple on the weekly time frame at 103 would be the next obvious target. But I don't think that's going to happen before a decent bounce first. I guess the hopium here is that it's wedging itself into something like this, something resembling an ascending triangle. But even then, I mean, you're going to see a lot of ebbs and flows, and I just don't think it's a very interesting chart in the short, medium, or even long term at this point. Can you check the total 3 chart? When is alt season coming? Twitter has promised me it. Well, yeah, alt season's been going on for the past 3 years. You just have to be on the short side. Yeah, another lower high as well here. I mean, look, the total 3 chart is legitimately not like that bad. Problem with this thing is that it can come all the way back down to like 650 or 660 billion, bounce, and then carry on with a bull market like in 2028, something like that, man. But I don't know. I really don't have strong opinions on this chart. Yearly is not terrible. Just want to see a bounce in December, back up to like 1 trillion. If it can do that, it's going to start to look pretty good. This would look like the next major higher low. And there is reason to believe that it actually might be. I mean, you do have lower lows on RSI, so there's hidden bullish divergence potential here. So I think that you will rally from this region without going significantly lower than whatever the October low was. So yeah, doesn't mean that I can't retest it though. It probably does. So yeah, things get quite difficult. Oh, you're in Singapore. Okay, nice, man. Yeah, we visited Singapore in 2024. It's fucking beautiful, man. It really is. Like, that place is a goddamn wonderland. It's amazing, truly amazing. MSTU is 3x MicroStrategy. Oh, it's a 3x MicroStrategy. Okay, well, this is going to be probably very bad. Yeah, amazing new lows. You already know what I'm saying about this, man. There's going to be bounces, but they're all lower highs, my good man. It's got a long ways to go. Meta, actually, I'd be a lot more interested to look at Meta. On NAS, looks to me like another higher low, hidden bullish divergence on this low. I think this one tries back up towards 680, 690, probably even just carries on with the general uptrend because that's what this thing loves to do. When you have a good stock, it goes up. It goes up and it goes up and it goes up. And I am, holy shit, I just want to I want to get a hammer and a nail and hammer it straight into my brain because when I first traded Facebook, it was called Facebook. Back in my day, it was Facebook. And it was back over here and it was trading for like 80 or 90 bucks, somewhere around here. If I would have just been a long-term investor at that point, if I would have just done that, holy fucking moly, it's up almost 10x. That's insane for a stock. That's fucking insane. Brother, is Sui cooked? Well, it's cooking is in the eye of the beholder. Let's see. We probably need to shut off this stream soon. Yeah, it's bad. You're going to get a rally at some point. It's just when this thing rallies, I think it's going to top out at like 270 or 280 or, very likely below $3. Yeah, it looks terrible to me. Looks terrible. Imagine buying Nvidia in the 80s, like in 1980s. Was it even around back then? Holy shit, it was. Wait a second. No, it wasn't. Hold on. Maybe if we go to like a quarterly, we'll have. No, 99. Yeah, maybe buying literally in the $80 region over here is probably what you mean. Yeah. Yeah. The crazy thing is, Space Nectar, is that was not very long ago. That was not very long ago at all. Quarterly really looks like this is a major high. I mean, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 drives of bearish divergence on what would be a shooting star dildo. I mean, if this thing's going to top out, that would be a really fucking powerful signal. Then again, do you really want to bet against Nvidia? I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that. Yeah, chop suey, some chop suey action. Very cooked, very, very, very ready. Yeah, man. You got long in 2020 and I can't average up the, yeah, I know how that feels. All right, guys, I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off on this stream. It's been a nice little return stream with no buffering activities, which is really, really nice. I'll be consistent with this time going onwards and forwards. I actually quite like this time. And yeah, we'll go from there. Monday will be another stream. I'm going to spend this weekend mostly just setting up the studio here and setting up the house. But once I get set up, I'm going to actually go back to recording these sort of long-term nerdy financial videos. What's up, Bear Nutrition? I see you over there, man. I'm going to go back to recording these long nerdy financial videos because I have this. Oh my God, I'm so excited about this next topic. I really am. But I just need to finish a few things first. Then we'll get into it because that's going to be a big one. In fact, I mean, it's going to be better than the last one. I don't know about that. That was a pretty good one. But this one, I think is going to be very, very interesting. At least it's the one that I'm interested in most right now. Anyways, another reminder, it is the last week of our Black Friday sale. The code is blacked in all capitals. Or sorry, it's not black, it's blacked, like this. Blacked in all capitals and then number 20. Get 20% off of any one of the programs or services in the link description below. Even Caretakers Indicator Suite, even the Quantum Wave Bands, even the Quant Prime, even the Trading Bible, even everything. Literally anything that's in the Teachable link is 20% off on any one of the plans or anything like that. Anyways, we shall end things right there. As always, I want to wish everyone the best. We'll be back on Monday. Take care. Much